insulation into the roof above 204 and 206 College. The questions are, what are repair items that need to be done regardless of any improvements to the building, and what are items that need to be done to improve the building? And then related to all that is, can some of these items all happen at once if there's major improvements? Starting with the 204, this white roof is actually a pretty good roof. It's in very good condition, except for down here where it was never sloped properly to the corner, where you can see a drain right there where the cable from the dish comes out. And in order to get this to slope, basically the entire membrane needs to be separated up and additional insulation put in to provide a slope. The standing water will create problems if there are holes in the roof, and can also create problems relative to moisture and baking in it, etc. Plus, the white roofs are supposed to be very energy efficient, but when they're all covered with dirt like this, they can't be cleaned. Related to this is that dish should be removed, and there's another dish up on the other roof that should be removed if people don't use them, or if they're not standard dishes, and you can see they're just placed up there by the vendor, which is inappropriate. The blocking looks good under pipes, and there doesn't appear to be any screws or anything else. However, that tenant over there in Unit 5 is using the roof, obviously, to put garbage outside, which we've warned them against doing, but probably sitting out there, and we need to be sure that they're not walking on the roof. I don't think that they are. Relative to this roof is on 206 on the first floor roof. It's in pretty good shape. The work done on the parapets, the clay parapets, is not well done because of the seams that are obviously subject to water and everything else right there. Those should be redone at some point properly, removed, tucked under, or whatever, unless that's tucked under already. You can see debris by the drain, and that debris is brick that is spalling, which is another issue that will be addressed in this video. So the standard parapet work, there's beginning to be some separation because of shrinkage. Not critical yet, but would need to be addressed. Over on this side, this is the rear of 206, and this is Unit 3. From the lintel there down to the concrete beam, which is underneath here, this whole area should be totally removed and replaced with something that's more modern and appealing, and then it would be a better apartment, rents could be raised, etc. When that's done, this roof would be peeled back and reset into whatever the new wall structure is. We don't know what the wall structure will absolutely be, but there are a number of possibilities. It's a small roof. Any of the work that's done here appears to be minor. Again, you have more stretching here. Eventually that's going to break. So those would all be cut and relaxed when other roof work is done. In this area around the door would probably be replaced, but the whole area, including the door frame, would be ripped out and replaced with new material. This is now going up to the roof above Unit 3, which we can call the second floor roof. And you can see in the brickwork right here that these bricks are all loose on the top, and the condition of the mortar elsewhere is okay, but not great. These are falling onto the roof. These create problems for the roof and obviously create a point for water and moisture to enter. This has to be done, preferably this year. You can see open. The mortar is totally degraded to sand, 3, you can see chips of mortar and brick that have come down from chimneys and other areas. If we look around here, you have the same roofing that is starting to stretch, which would need to be relaxed. You have a little bit of a better detail over the parapet because it slopes the opposite way, but there may be some work that needs to be done there, not critical. You have wires here that run all over the place. These are cable, either Time Warner or Dish, and those contractors basically run them wherever they can. So eliminating these cables, and if necessary have them reroute them to avoid having additional work on the roof is important. Plus, if they go over to the neighbors, there's no right for that, and that should stand alone. Of significance is this wall that is the dividing wall between 206 and the neighbor to the east, Tenney's Jewelry. You can see these penetrations, chimneys, and where some of them have been covered over with roofing material but are still open where water can get in. I believe that these chimneys are part of 206 because this particular gas vents to the gas heater that was installed by Soma in Unit 3 to eliminate the electric resistance heating unit that was there and was unsafe. So, assuming that these chimneys are part of 206, there's a severe issue, a dangerous issue with this large chimney here. You can see it's sloping, and it's also sloping towards the neighbor, and all the mortar is degraded. This could come down, and if it doesn't come down all at once over at Tenney's, it could come down piece by piece. This needs to be cut back, and while we're at it, you probably want to look at cutting back all these other chimneys and filling the holes with something that's structural, and then roofing over it so that the chimneys look more like a parapet than a chimney. None of these chimneys are functional. I do believe they all go all the way down and serve 206, although we would need to verify that, but I believe they all serve 206. And right now, in the wintertime, contractors have reported to me that there's heat coming out of these. So there is heat that's being lost through the brick in the building, but they are not active for heat. This is an example of a toilet stack. It's cast iron, and eventually with any renovation this will have to be removed because the cast iron is failing in this building. This is a skylight. It used to serve and provide light for a stairway that when 206 was an independent building, this skylight provided light to the bottom of the stairway, which is right here and roofed over. This stairway is now isolated. It's been blocked off from Unit 4, which is what we're looking at here, which is the 3rd floor unit. And hopefully that can be opened up and have some architectural aesthetic significance and some extra room for Unit 4. But this skylight needs to be removed and covered over, and basically when it's all done, the roof will look the same, be a flat roof as elsewhere when the skylight is removed. It isn't leaking as far as we know, but obviously there's nothing that needs to be retained with it. It's a problem waiting to happen. This parapet, this flashing here is done okay, but the joint there isn't good. That's why it's been sealed. It should have gone the other way. Anyway, there aren't any leaks yet. This might be looked at if this roof is addressed in other ways, and the roof has to be addressed because of the skylight. It has to be addressed because the vents are coming out. Another problem with this roof, and this has to be addressed and changed. You see this 2-inch hole? This is the only drain for this roof, and this roof takes water from that roof, which is the front of the building. All that water comes off the one roof to the other, goes down that little 2-inch hole. That is, we're not sure why someone did that. The anticipation is that the actual pipe is bigger in there. It could be opened up, but 2 inches is insufficient to remove the water from this roof, which means that ponding probably occurs significantly in a heavy rain. I don't see any limits of that at this point, but if that hole were to be blocked by with a tennis ball or a bottle or just anything, you'd have a large lake up here sitting on top of your wooden rafters. And so that hole needs to be made wider so it doesn't clog and so it can remove significant water flow. This is the back of Unit 4. We have the same issues relative to the roof stretching, although down here it's been insulated, so that's not bad. But the bottom line is this whole rear or north side of Unit 4 probably needs to be eliminated. It is not. These windows are awful. They need to be replaced. No one's going to pay more rent for this unit or any rent if it's in the condition that it is already. We know it has to be totally renovated. If so, we probably want to address this back area. Right now it's just covered up with membrane. So the roof would need to integrate back in with whatever windows or structural changes are made here. And if you look at this detail here, rather than this was just slapped on top, so this detail here is an accident waiting to happen. In the future you'd want to lap it, of course, over the roof membrane rather than under. And you can see the header and everything is just old. So these details would need to be replaced in some way. This is looking over the roof of 204 again. You can see there's a difference that 204 is only a two-story building, but there is a difference. So I think the unit roofs are higher in 204 by a little bit. The roof is black. If it's cleaned, it'll be more efficient. These white roofs are good, but when they get black, they're not so good. But the roof itself is in good shape. Now we're going on top of 204. No work needs to be done here. We're going back on top of 206, on top of Unit 4. You have cast iron piping again. More cast iron. These will all have to be removed because they're failing underneath and parts have been replaced already. We also have galvanized venting. Same thing. The cast iron was probably for the toilets. Galvanized venting, these are all rotten down below, will have to be replaced, so you need roof work here. This is the vent that was installed for Unit 2 for the gas heater. You can see more chimney work here, old chimneys that are spalling. These will fail, they'll fall on the roof. Not as dangerous as the big one there that could do a lot of damage, but they need to be addressed. This chimney here has been covered over, but it should be capped. If it's not functional, which I don't believe it is, at least not, I know it's not from 204, unless the neighbor has it functional. This should be capped, sealed so that water does not get inside the building. Same thing for this one. Here now we're looking across College Avenue and the stonework that is above College Avenue. Right here is brickwork that was ready to fall. Coppins Roofing fixed that last year. It was ready to fall right down on College Avenue. So it's stable right now, but it is not stable permanently, and you need to get someone in here to inspect and be sure that the brickwork is safe for the public. When Coppins came here, this was all loose, and I don't think it would have fallen, although someone could have pushed it over the edge. Look over the edge, it's hard to say what the condition is, but one should make it stable. You can look at stuff like this. Who knows what building this is? But the reality is this kind of problem is going to bring water into either one or both buildings and needs to be fixed. The parapet cap should be replaced. These nails in here are not proper, and you can see where they've been caulked. Obviously a point for future entry of water. Water may be getting into the brick and not noticeable yet through efflorescence or water leaking into buildings. This cap here, same idea what they did in the other location, but there apparently isn't, in some of these areas there isn't a board that it's nailed into. So you can see how these patchings here, this was done with an asphalt material and not a rubber material. It's not the proper material. Whoever did this before just slapped it on and was using a bucket of tar from Home Depot instead of the proper material. That'll have to be removed or covered over with a sheet and done with the proper butyl material. And here's another cast iron vent that would need to be removed from the bottom up. And again, you have rubber that is pulled away and that eventually is going to separate. And again, some kind of patching that was done improperly. Not only is this material the wrong material, but the chemicals in it can eat away a little bit at the rubber. Overall, the opinion of Coppins Roofing is that the roof on 204 is in pretty good shape other than the slope. And that 206 in pretty good shape, but you just have to consider everything around the perimeter needs to be addressed, and especially with renovation and penetrations. So there'll be roof work to be done. We don't know the exact nature of it other than getting some of this brickwork that has to be done for safety's sake before winter comes again. This is cast iron on 204 side. This is a pipe that actually failed internally a year ago when Antojitos first opened up.